So I wanted to bring in 2 decks for this reading. I'm going to start with my Celtic Oracle, a gift from a friend of mine. It's interesting that the swan is actually on the cover of this deck because she governs it. And Sage bundle that Holly made me has gone out, so hasn't been lit in a little while. I'm just going to relight it here. Yeah, so a friend of mine who interestingly wasn't really into tarot until fairly recently got me this deck as a gift. She just thought that since I was living in Scotland and the artwork and everything, would definitely be me. I really like it. It has animal and tree symbolism, all in the Scots Gaelic words, which is pretty cool. So I'm just gonna ask, what should we expect in this coming week with the inauguration and everything about to happen? I am a little nervous myself, so let's just give it a go and see what message the universe wants to give us. And I just kind of shuffle until the deck feels heavy. I'm not really good at shuffling like this, so it's not as aesthetically pleasing as some of the other videos out there. I just am really not coordinated with it. I'm getting better, but I mean, if I were to shuffle this like a playing deck, I would totally do that, but you don't want to do that with your tarot cards. It really ruins the integrity of the card itself. Alright, alright, we got Snake. I have actually never had him come up in this deck, so that's interesting. Fox, also reversed. And honestly, I think that's Alder. Alright, so I'm just going to take a look in the book here because these are ones that don't come up very often for me, so I'm not super familiar with them. Fox is a pretty powerful totem to use language that probably isn't natural for this deck. Animal guide here. So this is, I don't know if you can see it in the screen there, alphabetical-ish Scottish name. So let's start with the snake here, the adder. Renowned for shedding its skin, the adders evoke the process of letting out outdated habits or ways of thinking, metaphysical death and rebirth and healing through transformation, also associated with reincarnation, making connections to past lives. So this guidebook is really simple. It doesn't really give a whole lot. You're just supposed to kind of take the meaning of what they give you the symbolism for and kind of go with it there. So when I see an inverse symbol, I kind of go with it being as blocked, not necessarily the negative aspect of the card, but either we're blocking something that that card represents, or we should maybe hold off on that, or there is something else as represented by a later card that is stopping us from achieving what this card represents in its upright position. And that's just how I like to interpret the inverse. You may have another way that you interpret it, but that's what I like to go with. This lighter is also not great. The only lighters I have are ones that my sister, who's a smoker, has left at my house. I just don't give them back because I only see her like once every 3 or 4 months, and I just kind of hang on to them and use them for incense and things like that, and outdoor fires. Alright, so inverse position of this guy to me could mean that there's something that's going to happen later in the week, or something that's happening this week, either within us or externally, that is blocking a transformation or a letting go of something that we don't need anymore, but that there's something that's going to block us this week that's going to make that difficult. So we can look to the rest of the cards to kind of come up with a way to address that situation. So the fox, interesting enough, just on the next page here, legendary for its intelligence, can sometimes manifest itself as devious, slyness, and cunning. associated with the all-important quality of diplomacy and the ability to know when to keep your head down and stay out of the limelight. So the fox here being inversed, again, it could be an issue with something to do with diplomacy that could have to do with what's going to happen this week with the inauguration. It could also be that we're being held back from our natural intelligences by something else that's going on. There could be a whole lot of stupid this week that can really block our healing process. So we could be letting, maybe not we ourselves, but we as a collective group could be letting the lack of intelligence that's been spreading kind of rampant lately in the U.S. and the U.K. in particular, but also in the world overall, could be blocking a healing and transformative process that we really need to embrace. So we really need to think about how we can address that as a collective society. And then this guy here, I believe that's Alder, but I'm not great with Gaelic. I'm getting better, thanks to this book with certain words. Where are you? Fearn is the Alder. Yeah, I recognize the little cones, male and female cones. The Alder is the tree of fire and purification by fire. Yay! It's able to resist the decaying powers of water and can grow and flourish in the wettest of places. It's therefore a symbol of staying power, durability, persistence, and steadfastness. Its association with water also evokes the quality of emotional strength. Traditionally used for building boats and bridges, Alder enhances the potential to cross over life's oceans and rivers and to overcome the obstacles of doubt. So I could take this a couple different ways. It could be we're about to enter, the words just trial by fire keep kind of coming to me when I was reading that. And that's more of a figurative thing and less of an actual thing, where basically like the energy embodied in Alder here, it could be what's gonna, kind of get rid of our blocking of intelligence and our just complete disdain for experts, and help lead us to the transformation that we need to have in order to be healed and to be whole. Emotional strength is definitely something we're going to need to look to in the next week. And basically, I kind of look at when I do a 3-card spread like this, this is the building block to solve these two solutions. And not everyone will do it that way, but that's the kind of reading that I do when I do these 3-card ones. Is this final one it's our anchor. It's our anchor. It's our endpoint. It's what we need to look to throughout the week in order to deal with the problems presented here. So look to your inner strength, your emotional strength, and the energies that come with fire is kind of what really is standing out to me. And just embracing kind of your inner fire, and fire is like, one of the reasons that smoke bundles work so well is it's a heat purification. I get images all the time of when I was little and I would get a sliver under my skin. My mom would hold a needle over a flame to sterilize it and then pull the sliver out. Fire and heat is a good sterilization, so having this might help reduce these two things that we're about to approach. So there's a transformation coming, but it's currently held off. And it could be it's held off because we are not embracing our intelligence as a whole. And we're not, we need to embrace our intelligence. And we're going to have an overwhelming experience of purification that will help release us from these two issues. I'm going to pull a card from another deck as well. This is one that I just got, and I'm just familiarizing myself with it. And so what I want to do is kind of just pull an additional card from it about just a clarification. Just give us, what am I missing in this 3-card spread? This deck is stunning, and I love it. And I'm still getting acquainted with her, but she's pretty supportive, encouraging, and really just kind of tells you what you need to hear, not necessarily what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. and in a very beautiful way. Not only just in the images of the card, but the writings of the book and the way that it's kind of all put together into one is just, it's really, I find it soothing. And I really recommend, this is the Threads of Fate deck, and I love everything on their site. And my hands are so small that Oracle cards always, I have a struggle with Oracle cards. That's part of why I really like these ones. They're like playing card size, and they fit really well in my hands. I'm a tiny person, height-wise, and so my hands are just, I can't support the thickness. Alright. Just gonna pull the top card here. So another reverse, and again, this deck doesn't do reverse. And some of that's the way that I pull the cards, but that's the thing is, since I always pull the cards that way, the message comes through the way that it needs to come through. I don't feel like I'm convoluting the message by pulling my cards, flipping them like that. Only thing I dislike about this deck is that you can see, because of the way the background is, whether it's going to be inversed or not when you go to flip it. And that's one of the things that I also have an issue with my Celtic deck, is that I know what's an animal and what's a plant by the top color of the card, because they're each different. Green is plants and orange is the animals, and so I kind of know what energies to expect before I even get into it. So I'm just going to look up the revolutionary in this book. The dog is having a moment. He's not happy. He wants breakfast, so I'm going to do this pretty quickly. Revolutionary is on page 106. Its energy is ether. So the way they do this is each of the cards has an energy, whether it's air, water, fire, earth, or ether. The ether cards are kind of how you would view almost like a major arcana. At least to me, that's kind of, and I think that's what they said at the beginning of the book too. That's what I remember. That's how I interpret it. So this card, they give a lot of information. So just kind of take a look and see. It's asking you to challenge the status quo. And so again, inverse is something is stopping us from challenging the status quo, which with everything happening makes complete sense. Like the outlaw, the revolutionary has ideas that can be viewed as out there. And then the revolutionary invites us to break some of the trailblazing energy and apply that to our situation in life. So maybe we need a little less not of that in the sense of what's happening, not in our own personal lives, but in the sense of like kind of what's going on at the moment. I just think of, because this video is going to probably go on YouTube, I don't want to say the buzzwords, but I just think of the guy in that buffalo hat where he'd stolen bits of paganism from natives, which is extremely harmful, and then also from Norse symbolism and stuff, and so that guy and all the stuff that he stood for can be viewed as out there, and so that's not the type of out there that this card is representing, and I just want to make that clear. Is that's kind of the negative side of it when we say, oh yeah, like embrace your weirdness and all that stuff, is as long as it's healthy. It needs to be healthy. It needs to be not harmful to people. If your ideas that are viewed as out there are harmful to other people, they're not good. Don't embrace them. A balanced revolutionary leads and empowers. So the leadership we have right now is not, which views itself as revolutionary, is not embodying leadership. It's not embodying empowerment. It's actually about completely taking away power. And so this card inversed could indicate that group, because they view themselves as revolutionaries. I mean, they've said this is our 1776 moment. They want it to be a revolution. And this card could be symbolizing everything going on. Don't let it fool you. It's not a revolution. It's a keeping the old ways, because they don't want to see America change and embrace its diversity and move forward with that, where everyone can get what they need, everyone can be supported and accepted and live, like, especially BIPOC, the BIPOC groups of people, which is Black, Indigenous people of color, and that's what that stands for, just in case you haven't heard that term. what's actually revolutionary is allowing all of those voices to be heard and not smothering them and thinking that what you're doing is revolutionary when it's really not. So I don't know if this card actually is clarifying anything. It's just kind of giving it a bit of a deeper meaning. To call it a clarifying card is kind of a bit of a misnomer sometimes. The deeper meaning could be that what's blocking our acceptance of intelligence and our transformation and our shedding of the old ways is this group that believes that they're revolutionary, and that actually ties right in with this. You can't be revolutionary and embrace the old ways. Like, a revolution is it's a change. Like, the Renaissance was the Renaissance because it was a complete change from everything. So we're in for another tough week, and I honestly get the feeling that we're going to be in for a lot of them. But that's what I'm getting from this deck, and I'm gonna end it there because it's probably gonna be a little long for what we want to do. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think, and check out this deck. This is the Threads of Fate. It's an awesome queer-owned company, and their cards are they're beautiful. The dog is letting his voice be heard as well. But I just want to show these cards really quick because they glisten and they're stunning. And doggo, this is not the time for whining. You're okay. You're an okay doggo. Life would be much easier as a doggo. Thanks for watching, and I hope your week is okay. Just keep these energies in mind as we go through and look at how you can work past these things, and don't get distracted by this one.